Hey guys, my name is Loveless, and this time we're here with Quirk Knife, chapter 43. I have no excuses on why it took me so long. Yeah. Alright, let's get straight into it. Katsuki stared at his parents across the table with an ice pack still pressed to his jaw. His parents staring at him with stern glares. I already told you, he spoke with a slight slur, his tongue still swollen. I didn't start no fucking fight. Mom just stared at him, her normal glowing complexion worn down with dark eyes and messy hair. Katsuki, I don't know how much longer I can do this. I heard your teachers. We know what he said. Yet you won't tell us. This isn't fair, Kat. You're being selfish. Katsuki couldn't believe his ears at the moment, his heart beginning to pound faster in his chest from rising anger. Are you fucking with me right now? He screamed. I'm being selfish? How the fuck am I being selfish, you old hag? She kept her voice uncharacteristically quiet each time she answered. Have you ever thought of how your father and I have been feeling? Katsuki blinked. Huh? You haven't, have you? The old hag seemed so tired as something strange began to build inside Katsuki. It felt like his stomach was dropping as his heartbeat continued to rise. She continued. We tried to be here for you over this entire mess of a year. We've tried everything to help you, and I'm glad you're trying to become stronger. But Katsuki, you don't realize that this is hard on your father and I too. She looked away. Inko was my best friend, Kat. You know that. She was like a sister to me. We went through everything together. She was at my wedding, and I was at hers. She was there when you were born, and I was there when Uzuku was. What her divorce, it felt like mine as well. We shared birthdays, holidays, everything, and then she was just dead. Katsuki swallowed thickly, the taste of blood still lingering in his mouth. He shrunk back in his seat slightly. I didn't ask for that shit. Mom scoffed. You're telling me you don't still have love for Auntie? Of course I do. And Izuku? There was hesitation. The entire room felt as something seemed to settle in place with his parents, their faces pale ever so slightly. You know, Mom whispered, you and Izuku stopped having sleepovers and hangouts. When you were just kids, you used to cry when I said you couldn't see Izuku for a day. But that all stopped. At the time, I thought you were just growing up and finding your own friend groups and interest, which is totally fine, but it got weird when you refused to go over for dinners and stopped asking to make cake for Izuku's birthday. Whatever happened? Katsuki thinned his eyes, suddenly feeling extremely defensive and threatened. What the fuck you going on about? Dad drummed his fingers on the table. We just learned that Izuku's still alive. Aren't you anxious to see him? I know I am. Katsuki felt his face begin to heat up with another unknown emotion. Silence overtook the room as a sudden explosion began to pop from Katsuki's hands, his quirk spiraling out of control as he started to panic. His parents just stared at him with waiting eyes, but it felt like hundreds of thousand eyes were on him, judging him for all his sins and heinous acts. Not that he did anything wrong, right? Sweat was building on Katsuki's hairline. His hands were shaking. His breathing was coming out short and difficult pants, head swiveling back and forward in no particular direction, as if he was looking for something. Katsuki? What was wrong with him? What was wrong with him? Why is he such a monster? Why? Why do I feel like hurting everyone? His parents just stared at him with wide eyes as Katsuki's tears streamed down his face. Why? What's wrong with me? Why am I like this? I don't understand why. His mom frowned further. Katsuki, what are you talking about? I don't understand why I hate everyone. Katsuki slammed his hand on the table with explosions. Fuck. There was silence once again, except for Katsuki's heavy breathing, as he stared wide-eyed at the random marks on the table. Katsuki? Mom spoke hesitatively. What happened between you and Izuku? Was there a fight? A fight? Katsuki wanted to laugh. He wanted to laugh until his stomach cramped and tears spilled over his eyes. Which they would have, of course. He shook his head over and over again. I don't know. A lie. The invisible eyes conveyed, for Katsuki knew what he does. He doesn't understand it. He never has. All he knows is that he's stronger than Deku. He's stronger than anyone. It's not his fault that everyone's so fucking weak. Aizawa's words were hanging in the back of his mind. This couldn't be the end of his heroics career. He still has to be successful and... Hey, Katsuki grumbled. Why the fuck do you deal with this job anyway, Suki? Call me Yui. The woman smiled warmly. And, well, I'm not sure if we're being honest. You're not fucking sure? No. In fact, I'm often not sure of many things. Life seems to go that way, doesn't it? No. I know exactly what I fucking want. And what's that, Katsuki? I told you it's Bakugo. And I'm gonna be a hero, obviously. Who wouldn't want to be a hero? Yui ran a hand through her white hair and hummed. I didn't want to be a pro hero. Well, that's because you don't have a quirk like... Wait, what is your quirk? Yui chuckled. You only now asking this? Fuck off. She paused and crossed her legs. My quirk mutated when I was born from my parents. My mom had a simple emote quirk, where she can see emotion reflected in their pupils by different colors. My dad has something of a filing quirk, where all his memories are literally filed inside his brains. Every single one. Quite interesting if you ask me. Didn't ask about your fucking genetics, Yui. Just your fucking quirk. Katsuki rolled his eyes. Yui hummed. Yes, ever so impatient. My quirk is called traumatic repulsion. Katsuki tilted his head as he mouthed the title in return. The fuck does that mean? It's not exactly simple, but in short, I'm able to remove traumatic memories and all side effects of the trauma willingly. The blonde mulled the thoughts over. Yeah, that's something special. Yui continued. Now, I can't actually use my quirk. Well, I can, but it's very dangerous for me, because those traumatic experiences I willingly take, by overpowering compassion, doesn't actually vanish. They become mine, and they cannot be returned or erased, even with help of another quirk. Katsuki's eyes widened in realization. Oh, fuck. Yes, and as a child, all I ever wanted to do was help. I didn't have a quirk that could be used to fight. And I had this, and I was so naive enough to use it without any proper understanding or knowledge. I now live with over 50 traumatic experiences that are not always mine. These I took from others when they opened up to me. Katsuki couldn't believe what he was hearing. 50 people? Well, word began to spread around school and the neighborhood that I always helped people feel better. They would approach me and beg for help. So how could I deny? I was 11 when I first began seeing a therapist and had to do all through my years. In fact, I'm still seeing one now. Yui smiled. That's how I discovered what I wanted to be a hero. But you're not. I'm not? No, maybe not a pro hero, but this is how I decide to help others. I would help them grow and improve their mindset so they can go on and become greater beings in their lives. This is my goal, to force and guide those forward so that they can achieve their dreams. That's not being a hero, though, Katsuki argued immediately. People like All Might are heroes. You're a therapist. Yui shrugged. Bakugo, I believe you can become something great. Yeah, I fucking know, but to grow, you must learn. Learn what? Learn what it means to have a successful life. Katsuki didn't know what that meant at the time, because to him, Successful life meant being the number one hero, making tons of money just like All Might. But now, watching his parents stare at him with watery eyes, tears of his own falling, that was not a successful life. He was not proud. He was not at the top. He was not happy. I'm an asshole. The older Bakugo stared at him quietly as Katsuki laughed weakly. I'm an asshole to everyone that wasn't as strong as me. So, fucking everyone. Especially, he has to say it, especially Deku. Mom's shoulders slumped immediately. What? I know you're, well, eccentric, Kat, but... No, listen. I made his life shit. Once he was quirkless and useless, I don't... The blonde ran both hands down his face. I don't know. Mom stood up slowly as her bangs hid her eyes. Chin ducked against her chest. I see, she whispered as Katsuki noticed the horrified expression on his father's face. The man asked with a squeak. Did you ever get physical, Katsuki? A beat. Yes. Mom covered her mouth and slowly as she breathed out the word shakily. Dad going still. Katsuki had said nothing else. There was nothing else to say to fix this. Nothing. Say something. Shout. Swear. Blow up. Hit me. I would never hit you like that. Mom snapped suddenly with fury in her eyes. So don't you dare say something like that. Neither of us would lay a finger on you with the willing to cause you harm. You know that. Katsuki did. But he wished they would just punch him instead of radiating disappointment. So Izuku never opened up to you then? The woman asked quietly. Katsuki's brows furrowed. What? Never told you about any of his secrets? Anything going on at home? Katsuki thinned his eyes and answered calmly. No. He just wanted a successful life. He needed to learn, to grow. He needed to be honest. That's all he can do, right? Don't you ever wonder what happened to Uncle? Honestly, Katsuki never cared for the man. He was kind of a creep and wasn't around very often, disappearing whenever the Bakugos went over to Midori's apartment. Katsuki only saw him at night when he slept at Deku's. He was always quiet. Not really, Katsuki shrugged. Auntie divorced him, so I don't care. Mom stayed silent for a moment. Will you tell this to your teacher? I don't really have a choice. The woman scoffed. Lies. What? She tucked her chair in and picked up the cup of tea, heading to her room and only turned before the stairs, saying a simple sentence that Katsuki wasn't ready to hear. We always have a choice, Katsuki. What about the sports festival? Izuku raised an eyebrow as Mei was strewn on the couch, dangling a ramen cup above her head. What about it? I mean, technically the school hasn't announced it yet, but you could attend, get to know all the students. Maybe that can help you get used to things. Izuku rolled on the floor, still slightly grumpy with Rumi's trick she played earlier today. Hurry up, I gotta pick shit up, so you're coming with me, Rumi shouted as Izuku climbed into the passenger seat of the car, secretly surprised the pro hero could reach the gas pedal. What are we picking up? Izuku asked as they started down the road, Rumi only turning up the music and bobbing her head along with the heavy rock tune. Izuku thinned his eyes. In distrust, he kept his hands on the door handle of the car, ready to escape if necessary. The ride wasn't even 10 minutes until Rumi yanked him out of the car and tucked him beneath her arm. We're here. Izuku looked up to a colorful building and furrowed his brows. Where the fuck is here? There was no time to read the title of the company as Rumi took him in, approaching a friendly man at the desk. Hey, I'm here for the 12 o'clock appointment for Izuku Wait minute. Izuku cried as Rumi shushed him violently, the receptionist looking at him with curiosity. Yes, I have that right here. Welcome. You also requested that you stay in the room with him the entire time. Does that still stand? Yep. He's in a bit of a situation. So I'm here. The receptionist nodded. You're actually the first appointment since break, so you can head right on in. It's the pink door on your left. Izuku thrashed a bit more. Excuse me. I know you guys can hear me. Ignored once again. Rumi thanked the man and padded off to the door in question. Izuku stared at the little kids coming and going from other rooms. You gotta be fucking kidding me now, he mumbled as he realized what kind of place he was in. The hallway disappeared as the pink door shut in his face. Hello there, a foreign man smiled. You must be Midoriya, right? Izuku's fine, the greenhead grunted as Rumi finally put him down. And you can call me Rumi. The man chuckled kindly. Noted, my friends. I am Dr. Willow, but you can call me James, since we'll all be friends anyhow, right? Izuku blinked around the bright-colored room. His eyes wandered from object to object, with some confusion still remaining. Is this room too bright? James interrupted his thoughts. I just love the bright colors, but I know it can be overstimulating. Would you rather to move to my office? It's a little more, quiet, I suppose. Izuku shook his head. No, it's fine. With a brief pause, James tapped his clipboard a few times, his neon eyes looking from Izuku to his papers several times. Why don't you tell me about yourself? I just want to know why I'm here. It was blunt, but Izuku didn't like guessing games. I thought Rumi had to pick something up. James hummed in understanding. Ah, yes. I suppose you must be curious. This is technically a clinic for dealing with sorts of childhood trauma, while the patient is actually still a child, and that includes both mental effects and physical. The ages often range from 2 to 10 because they then either solve physical problems or move on to mature treatment. Izuku frowned. I'm 15. He chuckled. I know that, but we also accept certain cases, of course. All we want to do is help. Now, we won't be touching your mental aspects since we specialize in children, but you also are welcome to confide in me. We will be focusing on your speech disability, in fact. Izuku pressed his lips into a thin line and slowly looked over to where Rumi was seated. The woman pursed her lips together and keeping her red eyes on the ceiling, pointedly ignoring his sharp glare. There's no shame in it, James said warmly, right away. This kind of thing happens more often than you would think. Now our first step is figuring out the root cause. I do have some documentation where you said that you had a speech impediment through your childhood years, but stopped attending speech therapy at the age of 5. Did it stop? No, Izuku admitted. It just slowly got better, but I did stutter all throughout grade school. And how old was you when it stopped? 13, but I still stutter sometimes, but I still stutter when I'm nervous sometimes. That's a normal reaction. James spoke slowly while writing, but it then came back, correct? Could you tell me what previously happened? Izuku took a breath and debated if he could outrun Rumi, but even he knew that was unlikely. He was too tired to argue, but instead spilling everything from USJ, save for the dark details, and he ignored the way James was struggling to keep a calm face. This was exhausting. Izuku's tongue felt like lead after speaking for so long at the appointment. His brain mushy and tired. He stared at May as she got the hint to elaborate. You can analyze quirks, especially the ones of future classmates. Talk to them and make some friends. It will kind of ease you into the atmosphere, no? Izuku stretched his arms across the carpet until he could pass his hands against the side of Hitoshi's torso. I don't know. I just can't show up. My festival, my rules, Zashi shouted from the kitchen table, and I say this is an official invitation. Except you can't participate. Shoto pointed out. Hazashi hummed. Yes, I thought that was a given though. And it's not even your festival, Toga laughed. Don't be mean, Toga. I said Himiko. Oops. Right. Look, I think it's a good idea. Toya pointed from the couch. You can't stay cooped up in the house every single day. It's not good for your mental health. Yes, Toya, because my mental health was so great before, Izuku said sarcastically. You know what I mean, you little shit. Don't lie. We all know you're getting more depressed. Izuku looked in his direction. Thanks. There was a loud knock at the front door as the kids jumped. Toya looked at the cat clock. Kay isn't coming over today. He's on patrol. The man moved both Bean and Mika from his lap before hesitating at the front door. Shota and Hazashi pulled him out of the way. The knock came harder this time, causing the door to shake as Hazashi drew in a sharp breath to ready his quirk. Shota opened the door as Izuku peered around to spot the visitors, but the voice was enough for him to understand. Izuku, where are you? He perked up. Auntie? Let me in, the blonde woman spat, pushing past the older man without invitation, and kicked off her shoes, making a beeline right for Izuku. His eyes widened as he pulled into a bone-crushing hug. I'm so glad you're okay. You're alive. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. I couldn't find you sooner. I spent months looking and then... Izuku wiggled free from the hug. You were looking for me? Mitsuki threw her hands in the air. Of course I was. Izuku hugged her again, and he couldn't help thinking of his mother as Mitsuki kneeled down, Matsure at her side with watery eyes. Listen, Mitsuki whispered. Let me treat you for lunch sometime, okay? I'm so ashamed I let you down, and there's no way I can make up for that. But just, Izuku, baby, I'm so glad that you're here. You're strong, okay? You understand me? He was surprised at the moment. He felt strangely calm around the two Bakugos he hadn't spoke to in several years. So it was a warm feeling knowing they were still concerned about him. They were happy he was alive. Unlike many other people, it was nice. Izuku can only nod stiffly as Mitsuki wiped her tears. And we had a talk with Katsuki. It wasn't very detailed, but it was enough to realize I greatly misunderstood the relationship. And for that, I'm sorry. But, Zuku, why didn't you say anything to me? I would have done something sooner. It's only been in the past year we finally got Katsuki to accept therapy, and you got Katsuki to go to therapy? Izuku asked with wide eyes. Was that real? No, they're bluffing. They ought to be. Yes, Matsuri and I always knew he needed it. It was only when he began claiming to see you everywhere that we punted him in there. He got better for a while, but then it got worse, real fast. But that's not what I'm here to discuss. You're comfortable here, right? Izuku frowned in confusion. Huh? Yeah. Because our home is always open, but I understand that having Kat there would be difficult. Izuku nodded. Sorry, I don't think I can be around him. He could tell the statement broke Mitsuki's heart, but he couldn't lie to her. He was so tired of lying. I understand, she said quietly. And just know, you can find me if Kat ever picks a bone with you. Ever. I'll handle things myself if necessary. She kissed the crown of Izuku's head and turned back to Azashi and Shota, bending down in a deep bow. Matsuri doing the same. Thank you for taking care of our boy, they both said at the same time, Mitsuki much louder than her husband. Shota waved them off, and Hazashi beamed. You're welcome. I just love Izuku with all my heart, so we'll continue to give our all for him. Mitsuki hummed. Please let us know if there's anything you need help for, whether it be the two wanting a night or just something to take the kids from your hands, even financial stuff. I know you're both pro heroes and teachers, but, still. Shota just blinked. How the fuck do you know where I live? Mitsuki waved a hand off. I just called the principal, and he gave me the address. Bastard. Shota cursed under his breath. It was then Izuku understand that this was part of Nezu's plan. It probably meant that he would have to speak to Katsuki soon once more. It wasn't something he would look forward to, but he knew it was necessary. They both gave Izuku one last hug as he's still in an overwhelmed state. Mitsuki spoke quietly again. I buried Inko in a beautiful graveyard, so let me know when you want to visit. It'll be an honor to show you. Your mother would be so proud of you right now for finding a family. Izuku bit his bottom lip, quivering, but he refused to cry. When we meet again, Izuku whispered, I want to see Katsuki, right? Shota frowned. I can't just cower. Izuku mumbled. I need to face him before school. He looked up with a newfound fire, hands clutching into fist at his side. I need to become stronger.